I'm going to take this one home. I'm going to make sure this is a good ass episode. Because God bless America.
So in short, we're going to take a 90-degree turn on the right.
And we back. So my first topic, vasectomies, bitch.
Oh my God. Let's get vasectomies.
So
snip them nuts.
So
snip, snip.
Recently, when me and Javi were hanging out, bar hopping around, I see a lot of beautiful beers, a lot of beautiful cats, a lot of beautiful kimbap that we were eating and stuff like that.
You just got to throw it out with the meow.
Yeah. And we had a whole conversation about vasectomies, and we both felt the bartender was listening to us. Like, we were both pretty schmizzed at that point, you know what I mean? But like, as we were having this like real genuine discussion about vasectomies, I felt judged by the bartender. And I feel like Javi felt the same way. So I asked him, and we both, came to a conclusion where this asshole was judging us for being better, for being progressive and informative. Fuck that guy with his dumb ass glasses. And but it really got me thinking. I was like, you know what? I really was surprised about the things you told me about vasectomies, right?
Okay.
And right before this episode, I asked one of my friends that I'll say it's anonymous because obviously I don't put him on the spot. But I asked him, hey man, hey beep, what do you know about vasectomies? And he was like, he kind of like paused for a second. He was like, well, he did this. He started off very confidently. He was like, oh yeah, that's when you snip. But and then he just kind of stopped and was like, I actually don't know a lot about vasectomies. And I was like, hey, bro, don't worry, me neither. And but he did say the basics. He was like, yeah, that's when you snip the thing in there, and and I was just like, bro, that's exactly what I was looking for, because I feel like that's most of us. And the reason I wanted to make this a topic is just to inform you motherfuckers and for myself, and without that preachy bullshit. And that's what I'll get to. You know what I mean? I just want to get.
Frankie's gonna say get a vasectomy.
No, I'm not actually. But I just want people that are listening, and hopefully I haven't drove you away. But I just listen, because I feel just learn the information and you'll be fine. And ladies, anyway, so I'm gonna get to it right now because I feel like a lot of it you'll know. But yeah, this is my contribution to the world. So a vasectomy is a procedure with what the hell did I just write here? Okay, restart. So we're gonna start with what a urologist is. And a urologist is a specialist who focuses on anything involving the urinary and reproductive tracts. And a vasectomy,
a dick doctor,
and anything that involves reproductive tracts.
a dick doctor.
And a vasectomy is a procedure done by a urologist that prevents sperm from entering the semen, and the semen being released during ejaculation. Let me reword that. You're gonna still jizz, but there's gonna be no sperm in it. Let's make this obvious and clear. What you jizz out
is either not sperm.
It is.
It has sperm in it.
It has sperm in it, but it can also not have sperm in it.
Yes.
But it still will come out. The goo. So the CDC says that the minor surgery cuts or seals the quote vas deferens, or what the vas deferens is the tube that connects the testes to the schlong, the penis. So basically, what happens during the minor surgery is that there's a tube that connects your balls to your dick, and this incision will cut that and make this transfer of sperm from your balls to your penis not happen. Right? So sperm cells are produced in the testes, your balls. So this prevents them from making their way into your semen, your jizz, right? That means that you can still come. Be honest, you can still come, but it just won't have any sperm in it.
Yeah.
So all that, and according,
even at that, I'll just say, like, when we were talking about vasectomies, like, that's something I didn't know.
I didn't know either.
It's just, I don't know if he'd be comfortable with me saying it, so I'm just gonna keep it anonymous. But I know someone that got a vasectomy, and and so
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, because that's what we're trying to debunk, that ridiculous prejudice.
Yeah, and so I asked him, and I was like, "Oh man, you shooting blanks now and whatever." He's like, "No, you still like jizz, like you still like stuff still comes out." And so I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something I didn't know before.
So I'll continue. So according to the Cleveland Clinic, 500,000 men have vasectomies every year in the U.S. Now, this is what I want to get to that's more important. And I'm going to Google some stuff on the spot so we can both find out on the spot. But I'll get to that later. So, vasectomy is a vasectomy reversal, right? Now, you can reverse a vasectomy. It's possible, but it may not always be successful.
No.
Right? Quote, I mean, this is really important. Not quote, but just this is really important. The procedure doesn't affect a man's ability to perform sexually or achieve orgasms, and it doesn't visibly change semen. So we'll get back to the reversal, right? There are two types of vasectomies: conventional and no scalpel, like no ratio, and no scalpel, right? What a conventional vasectomy is small cuts are made in the scrotum or your nutsack, so that the vas deferens, remember the tube that connects your balls to your penis, so the sperm can get to the come out with semen. I'm gonna read it again. A conventional vasectomy is small cuts are made in the scrotum or your nutsack, so that the vas deferens tube can be reached. Remember, the vas deferens tube is what connects the testes to the penis. What a no scalpel vasectomy is, no cuts whatsoever. Just a small puncture or incision to reach the vas deferens. And Javi, what is the vas deferens?
It's a tube that connects the testes to the penis.
Give me some knuckles. We're learning together. We're learning together.
Welcome to the Magic School Bus. Oh.
Let's go, Mets. A 2014 review in the Cochrane database of systematic reviews found no difference in effectiveness between both approaches, aside from no scalpel involving less bleeding, infection, and pain, and less operation time. Basically, whether or not you get this vasectomy or that vasectomy, the only difference is not going to be the effectiveness of it, just, the amount you bleed, the amount you're affected, and the amount you're in pain, and the amount of time for the operation.
What about this vasectomy?
What do you mean?
This vasectomy right here?
The one in your hand right now?
The one in my hand right now.
Ooh, I don't know about that one. I didn't research that one.
You don't know about this one? Oof. And you did your research until 3 a.m. and you didn't find this bad boy?
I read so much articles.
Oof. I'm just going to put it back in my pocket.
We'll discuss it later.
We'll discuss it off air.
All right. So both procedures involve putting the patient under a local anesthetic and takes around 30 minutes. The testes will still make sperm. And I will say this, and if you hear this, beep, who you are. I only say this because I thought this was a very interesting statement you made and nothing against you. But he said that, if you are a man and you are unable to produce sperm, you're no longer a man. And for me, I was like, whoa, that's a big statement. I wasn't upset or anything. That's your opinion. But in my head, I was like, some people are born sterile, right? Like without, unable to produce a kid in general from birth. So I was like, then I brought up that point. He was like, so, I feel that amongst a lot of people, being a man who's unable to make a child, you could feel that way, through society's kind of observation of men and what they should be able to do or not.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's definitely more, I would say more of a societal pressure on men.
Yeah.
Where, similar to women, about how women are constantly seen as just child bearers and child givers.
I mean, they are.
Like,
no, I'm kidding.
Whoa. Let me just. But
no, I'm just kidding. Okay.
But for men too, it's like, I'm sure that there are men out there whose families or their mothers are just waiting and constantly telling them, when are you going to have kids? This and that and whatever. Yeah. It's like the pressure on men to have children. I wouldn't say is as much as it is on women, but it's still there.
Like, I mean, and even just falling into the nuclear family, in the United States, where like you need to have a wife and have a kid and stuff like that and all that stuff and everything. So, obviously we're not covering that. My whole point is that if you think that getting a vasectomy means that you don't, create sperm no more, that's wrong. You do. You still make sperm, and instead of splooging it out, it just gets reabsorbed back into the body, as they would if the man did not have sex, right? Now, when you have the procedure, you don't become sterile, like aka no babies until a few months. And the way they confirm this sterility is through semen samples, and it takes about 12 weeks or 20 splooges or ejaculations that have been deemed negative for sperm.
I like splooges
better. I like splooges more, right? Little and now vasectomies are effective as fuck with a 99% success rate with the very small chance of pregnancy occurring. So, it's like condoms, right?
Yeah, man. I'd be so upset if I got a vasectomy and I still got someone pregnant.
It'd be crazy.
I'd be like, of course.
Now this is where this is where I want to backtrack because I feel like there's a lot of also social pressure on men to get vasectomies and to preach vasectomies. And
especially in today's day
and age. And I don't think that's necessarily correct, and you'll see why. Because I knew there was something fishy about it. Recently, this comedian and late night show host Chelsea Handler, I don't know if you know who she is.
Mm-mm.
She's funny, but I heard from like other podcasts of people who are way more famous than we are say that she's a little, cunty. You know what I mean? So aside from that, she literally maybe like last week or within the couple days prior to this, she put up a video of herself, on Instagram, nude, but like holding her breast. And as the video started, she was like, "Oh, you caught me giving myself a mammogram." She was basically advocating that men should get vasectomies because, women shouldn't have to endure IUDs, birth control, et cetera, that make them get pimples, and feel terrible. And we'll get to that later, right? So again, I do believe there are a lot of men who got vasectomies just because they felt they needed to politically, which I think if you did,
I would hope not.
I would hope not, but I feel like that's the case for a lot of like, I don't want to, but I'll say that. But I also feel that there's a lot of people that have gotten it because they just don't want kids, and that's fine, But there's a consequential impact of that decision, and we'll get to that. Let me get to that, right?
Do it.
All right.
Are you going to get to that? When are you going to get to that? Are you going to get to that right now?
Cue the music. Okay, so we'll get to
Chocolate rain.
I wish I had the music ready. So, he don't have a vasectomy.
He probably has like 10
he's making
babies.
his chocolate rain.
He probably has 10 babies that are all doing the chorus to the song and a nice fucking, what do you call it? A group chorus.
Fucking a quartet. Right?
Well, a quartet,
a barbershop quartet.
People. No, I said 10 kids, motherfucker.
So then multiply that shit by 2 and that.
A 10 triplet.
Let me fucking get to the complications of dicks.
What are you talking about again?
Vasectomies.
Oh.
Vasectomies. Snip your dick and babies be no more. Vasectomies.
Never have a child again or understand.
Vasectomies. I can't even fucking talk. Vasectomies. Sperm will no longer be in semen. Vasectomies.
You thought that the vast difference was nothing but a tube.
Vasectomies. Your penis will work just like before. Vasectomies. Don't worry, your testes will still produce sperm. Ooh. Freestyle over here. I close my eyes for that. What the fuck is this episode? So we're up to the complications, right? So most patients.
So tell me, what are the complications about having a vasectomy? Because I'm literally in the middle of having one right now. Should I regret this right now?
Maybe, because when I get to the end, you might. So most patients will experience swelling, bruising, and slight discomfort for approximately 2 weeks after the procedure.
Easy.
There is also a slight risk of developing scrotum infection, a hematoma, which is bleeding under the skin that looks like a bruise, and sperm granuloma, which is a lump in the scrotum caused by sperm that leaks out of the vas deferens. And what is the vas deferens again?
It's a tube that connects the testes to the penis.
So what a sperm granuloma is a lump in the scrotum caused by sperm that leaks out of the vas deferens tube into tissue. Now, this is pretty simple, but I want to really get it across. The main thing, and what really, made me want to put this on the show, is the idea of the vasectomy reversal. Now, yes, is it easier for a man to get a vasectomy than a woman to endure birth control monthly or get an IUD that hurts like a motherfucker within them, or all these other tactics, right? Yes, right? But vasectomies are mostly deemed irreversible or a permanent procedure. Now, if you get an IUD, if I'm not mistaken, you can eventually take it out after a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're on birth control, you can just stop taking birth control. I know there are other methods of contraception, and we can definitely look it up right now. But from what I know for sure is that you can eventually stop your form of birth control as a woman when you feel like it. Not to say that the effects don't, exist past that, because we're gonna look into that in a second. But for a lot of men, there's no guarantee that a vasectomy can be reversed, and this should be an initial pretense for any man undergoing procedure in the first place. So, if me and you were to get vasectomies, there's no guarantee that we can, reverse that in the future, which is a big choice to make. And what I'll read in a bit shows examples of men getting them with their wife, and then they get divorced.
Oh, man.
So then they go back out into the world and say they want to have a child again, So what a lot of people are advocating for is that men get vasectomies, even though they might do it in their 20s, then become 40 and say, holy shit, I can't ever have a kid for the rest of my life because of Roe versus Wade. Because I wanted to make a statement,
So
because it's better, it's easier on me than it is a woman, even though in that context, is it?
So where is the information coming from that, you could just get it reversed?
Oh, these are a bunch of articles. So I have a bunch. This is Vasectomy Procedure, Risk and Reversal by Anna Gore. This is March 2nd, 2023.
But what I'm asking is, like, where did this idea come from that you could just get it reversed at any time?
Oh, actually, that's a beautiful point that you made, because this is a terrible article written by Kate Nicholson. And the title of the article is, and this is not obviously where it stems from, but it reads this. This is the title. No, having a vasectomy doesn't mean you can never have kids, right? Now, what the article, and I wrote this. I was going to take notes for this article, and it says, and I just wrote this. I wrote, horrible article, not even going to give it the light of day, but purely will say this. Person is doing a disservice to health info through journalism, and they should be ashamed of their damn self.
Damn.
Because what they wrote in this article says, it's a myth that, excuse me, I got mask bugging. She says that this is a myth that men can't get a reversal and that they should be encouraged to get vasectomies. That's not what people are saying. It's just a matter of fact that you could possibly not be able to reverse your vasectomy. Mm-hmm. And through her article, she's trying to say you should get one because that's not true. Mm-hmm. Like, she's trying to deem it being irreversible a myth.
Right.
And what is a myth?
Legend.
A legend, right? Not like the legend like us, because we're legends, right?
That's what I was thinking.
But legend like Bigfoot, right? So she like, or maybe like an obscurity in truth, right? So the way this is worded, again, the horrible journalist Kate Nicholson released March 22nd, 2023. Not March. March. It's just not fair to any man reading that, because it's just not true. Because at the end of the day, there are a lot of doctors who deem this procedure irreversible, because if it's not 100% irreversible, that's a problem. Mm-hmm. And a lot of men, I imagine, have done this and have regretted it and will never be able to have kids again. And that's sad, man.
I wonder if there's any studies that say or have polled any people that have had vasectomies and have asked them if they regret it or not.
Oh, I have people that have written this. I have people who've taken it, but they're kind of biased, to be honest with you, because that doesn't really reflect on them wanting to have kids in the future of it. It's in the, in the future, in the, how can I say, like right after they get vasectomies, how they felt after it. But what I'm trying to say is more so, regardless of like whether there's studies of it, I mean, if you had a vasectomy and you were sure about it, and we're very young right now, right? And then you wanted to have a kid when you were 45, right? That would suck to know that you couldn't. When instead you could either use a condom or the woman could have used birth control.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it just really comes down to like how much you don't want children. It's
and
like,
how confident can you say you don't want children forever? And at what age?
Yeah, it's just, there are definitely some people that don't want kids like at all. Like there are definitely people out there that feel that way.
I feel that most young people don't want kids because that's how it is. And then when they become older, they want kids. And that's where I feel this vasectomy is kind of tricky when you put it into that equation, right?
Well, I mean, I'll just say that it's like I think the topic of vasectomies has become very hot because of Roe v. Wade getting overturned and things like that. Like we've seen the numbers of people getting more vasectomies after Roe v. Wade got overturned.
Yeah,
and that's why you say it. But I really hope it's not the case. But I really hope that people weren't doing it to make a political statement.
I mean, I wouldn't say that it was purely political statement. I would think that they felt a certain responsibility because women couldn't get abortions, which is, fair. If you really feel that way. And let me ask this, and I can't answer this. We can't answer this, but would women undergo certain contraception, procedures if it meant they could never have babies for the rest of their lives? If you ask that question, you think that women would, like, let's say, okay, this is a very interesting question. Of course, we can't answer this, right? What if an abortion meant you can't have a baby for the rest of your life after that?
That's exactly what I was going to bring up, because it's just, you're bringing up this topic of that vasectomies aren't necessarily reversible.
Yeah, they're not 100% reversible.
And so it really does bring up an alarming question for men versus women of just kind of like, how much do you want a child? Where for a man, you can do this procedure that will automatically guarantee you will probably never have a child
guarantee.
Ever again.
99% guarantee. Remember that one little asshole who gets fucked over,
And so, but then there are women who they can do all these other procedures that are more taxing on them on a day-to-day basis.
Yes.
But are reversible.
Yeah.
And that is an interesting thing to bring up.
And to my core, message, I'm not advocating nothing right now. My whole point for this is
so when I said that I should get a vasectomy and you said you probably won't after this, you were just scaring me away from getting a vasectomy as I'm in the middle of a vasectomy right now.
First of all, there's a lady to my left and I'm aborting her baby right now, and she's in the third trimester, mind you.
Oh, Daredevil over here. Oh, man.
This baby's literally talking to me and I'm killing it. I'm actually
that's a dumpster
I'm
baby
actually
right
pointing
there.
a gun to its face right now and going, you ain't a life. But I'm not making no...
Welcome to nothing.
How'd you like 8 seconds on Earth?
Wow, welcome. Boom.
So I'll go back to my notes. First of all, Kent Nicholson, stupid ass. Sorry you exist. Journalism wise.
You suck as a person.
Every life is perfect.
Frankie thinks that you should always be on birth control and just deal with the struggles of birth
don't
control
reproduce
every day.
If you're gonna write this way about reproduction, just don't reproduce. Just kidding. Do what you want. All right. So there's a professor, goes by the name of Al Najjar. I forget what his credentials are, but trust me, he's a professor.
He a prof?
Yeah, god damn it, your fucking notes.
It did it to you?
Yeah. I was hoping it wouldn't. So he said that the vasectomy reversal is performed by rejoining the previously cut ends of the vas deferens using microscopic sutures, right? The chances of success for vasectomy reversal is directly related to the time interval between the vasectomy and its reversal, and the age of the female partner, Al Najjar said. According to the Mayo Clinic, pregnancy success rates vary from about 30 to 90%, with the lowest rates applying to men who had a vasectomy over 10 years prior. Okay? In addition, a vasectomy reversal procedure lasts long... drunkenness. In addition, I got this. A vasectomy reversal procedure lasts longer, around 2 to 3 hours, and is more expensive than a vasectomy, what Barr said. So, did you grasp what I said with the second paragraph? Because that was a little like, you want me to read it again?
No, I got you. It's just basically like, it's harder to do the reversal procedure.
And there are factors that matter. So
there are factors that include like the women's age and how long ago they had their vasectomy. Yeah, I got you.
So, I mean, when it all comes down to it, and really, like, to be serious, I'm not really trying to like say you should or should. God damn, you should or should not. I'm
gonna not get beer so I don't burp so much and pee on the podcast.
My whole point about doing this is to just hopefully get this into your head. Because what this guy said that I talked to today, the one that said that if you can't produce sperm, you're no longer a man. He was like, hey, it's good to know this information. At the end of the day, like at the very least, we know it. And when you were telling me everything about vasectomies, in my head, I was like, damn, maybe I should get a vasectomy. I'm not trying to nut with the fucking warning label, you know? But then reading this, like, I don't think I'm ever going to get a vasectomy after reading this, personally speaking.
Okay.
Just because I want to have kids in the future. Like, I like babies, bro. I want to have a baby. Unless I'm sterile right now, if I am, fuck, but knock on wood. But, like, I want to have a kid. A kid sounds fun as fuck, you know what I mean? And, like, you know, prolong your legacy and shit like that. And I do feel like a lot of people in their 20s, especially early 30s, like, they just say they want to have... I don't want to have a kid right now. Fuck that bullshit. Fuck that hard work bullshit. Respect to anybody who has a kid and loves their kid. Kind of have to. But, like, you know what I mean? But...
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Yesterday was Mother's Day.
What? Oh, and the 10th was Mexican Mother's Day. Shout out to the 10th.
Okay.
Feliz Dia de los Madres. You know what I mean? Foreshadow. And but I really want to get that message out. And now there's this one other article that I have that involves 6 men who have gone vasectomies. This is the name of the article: 6 young men on getting post-roll vasectomies. By Ali Volpe, April 3rd, 2023. That's like a month ago. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm only going to read the backstory of man 1. They have names, but I don't give a fuck. So I'm going to call them man 1, man 2, man 3, man 4. And it's pretty short. So man 1 said this. Well, actually, this is the prefax to the article. So between 2006 and 2015, according to data from the National Survey of Family Growth, the main reason men got vasectomies was that women and their partners did not wish to have any more kids. Pretty basic, right?
Uh-huh.
Most men in the past 20 years often had vasectomies between 41 and 45 years old. They were mostly white and married. Yet in 2017, 4% of men who got vasectomies did not have any children. So that growth started to go. And now the numbers are increasing for younger men who don't want or have kids and are getting vasectomies. So these are men who don't have kids at all, but are like, fuck it, I don't want to have kids in the future. So I'm going to read the experiences of about 4 men.
Okay.
Right? I will say this, and pretense with this, purely my opinion, I think these men are extremely biased. I think they're extremely biased, extremely politically driven, and not to, and I did, I'm going to just be honest. This is pretty like shitty in my way. But like halfway reading these guys' experiences, because it's verbatim, I read about most of them in a voice. and I don't mean gay in an offensive way, but like I was like, so I went to get this vasectomy, and you know what I mean? Because I was like, what the fuck is this guy saying? You know what I mean? And maybe not a voice, maybe a more like liberal pussy voice. That's actually, I don't mean gay word, liberal pussy voice, you know? Respectfully.
You don't mean...
Yeah, let's censor that too. Let's just censor everything today because I'm bugging the fuck out. Where am I? Let's censor
Jonathan's like, finally!
He's like, preach. Sorry for that ear buster. So this is man 1. How it went. I paid 100% out of pocket because my insurance refused to pay anything. It was $1,000. They gave me a local anesthetic, had me kick my leg up. The doctor told me stories about his kids graduating while he did the procedure. And that was it.
That's so ironic.
He made an incision and I believed used a laser to sever the vas deferens duct and non-magnetic clip to seal it off. It took maybe half an hour. I just went home and sat on the couch with a jock strap that had those little ice packs and sat in there to keep the swelling down. How he feels now. It was one of the top 10 experiences of my life. Birth control can be pretty radical for women. Being able to do my own part, not just for peace of mind, for myself, but for any potential partners, really matters. Man 3. Unstress-free sex. I actually agree with this motherfucker. It's nice to know that we can have sex and not have to worry about getting pregnant and just do it because we love each other and now want to have fun. And want to have fun. We both really love our kids, but they are a lot of work. Not having that background stress and being able to enjoy each other's bodies is great. Man 4. How it went. I was very apprehensive about the day itself only because I am unfamiliar with surgery. I asked, quote, do I take a week off of work? End quote. The doctor almost laughed at me. Ha ha ha. He said, I have electricians and plumbers that come and get this done in the morning and work in the afternoon. The whole thing, top to bottom, was maybe 7 minutes. I felt a little pinch of discomfort during the procedure. The next day, I had some slight soreness, but by about a week later, I was feeling fine. I had more discomfort at a dentist appointment. It cost $1,500 to $2,000. I was told my insurance would not cover it. Then one day, I got a check in the mail from my insurance company for the entire amount. No, insurance covered it. So we got one situation of one man covering it and then one man not being able to get covered.
Right.
Man 6, how it went. The worst part was the anxiety leading up to the surgery the day of, mostly related to anxiety about dropping my drawers in front of the doctor. The doctor was super helpful and talked with me to keep my mind off of it. After he gave me local anesthetic, I did feel a slight tugging on my right side. I couldn't feel anything after that. Insurance covered it. The amount charged was $1,980. My insurance paid $1,020. So he still had to pay $960 for a vasectomy.
Mm-hmm.
So now, if we're going to backtrack to the statement that I made that may have been offensive with the whole voice, which I really meant as liberal pussy voice, I'm going to go back to the article and read you the one that I excluded from here, just to like save me some bullshit. Say something for a second.
I mean, I just, there are definitely some people that sound like they were just kind of saying those things to make a statement. But that second guy that you mentioned definitely seemed a lot more genuine in his response and why he did it and how he's feeling about it now and things like that. It's just, it goes back to just, I hope that the majority of people didn't do this to make a statement.
Yeah.
Like, I would hope that the majority of people that did this genuinely did this because they didn't want to have children and felt like it was a time to do it.
And if I may say, man, I'm gonna give the ages. Man 1 was 36. Man 2 was 25. Man 3 is 35. Man 4 is 31. Man 4 is 35. Man 5 is 36. And basic 30s, 20s, which is very young, man. Very young for, if you see that at the one point earlier in history, people wanted to stop having kids at 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And all these people are beyond 40s. You know what I mean? And again, Javi's gonna bleep out my offensive term, but this is the reason I said that. This is what this guy said. Man number 5. Why he got the procedure. I don't identify as queer, but I've learned a lot from queer chosen family ideas. I don't need to follow the nuclear family reproduction path, but I'm interested in adoption. I'm interested in being a community member where I'm there for friends, kids. For some example, various birth control interventions cause side effects. Vasectomy's only side effect is that, as far as I can tell, I can't reproduce. I'm very okay with that. I had gotten a referral to talk to a urologist about a vasectomy back in 2021. I didn't get around to it. Once the overturning of Roe versus Wade came out, I didn't need more motivation. You get me? So there's a lot of a lot of good points, and you're like, and this whole article gives a lot of good feedback. I just felt the most precious thing about all these men's experiences is giving the real details of like the cost, the effect, and how they felt afterwards. And I will say most of them are positive, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say that it's like, even to that last one that you read, it's like, maybe that guy's like a little closeted. But just,
and I think that's what it meant. So that's why I'm trying to not trying to be offensive or nothing, because I only read that in the sense of like, I don't mean to relate a gay voice with a liberal pussy voice, because a liberal pussy voice is worse. And a gay voice is any voice. It could be anything. You know what I mean? But I guess to be like, this is just to be full frontal and clear. That's this prejudice and stereotype that I hold against vasectomies, because that's what I was taught, man. That's like for real through a lot of TV and movies and just life. Like, vasectomies are shown to men as like this real, like, emasculating thing. I think, if you can agree, I
mean, personally, I've never been shown that perspective of vasectomies.
Well, I have the TV through nothing but TV when I was growing up. Whether it comes to all those shows like My Wife and Kids and Joe Lopez and all those shows growing up, vasectomies have always been put in a light where it was like unmanly almost.
I can't really picture like TV shows or things like that or movies that I watched growing up that did that. All I can really think about is just like, fuck, I just had it on the tip of my tongue.
Oh, because you're lying. No, I'm kidding. Okay.
No, but genuinely,
that's the truth. That's the truth, and that's good, man. But I remember that shit clear as sky.
Like, even if my parents, I never really had much discussions about what a vasectomy is or anything like that.
That me too.
So it's just like, I felt like I kind of came to the idea of what a vasectomy was on my own at a certain point in life. And because I did that, I didn't have a bias behind that. So I was always just kind of like, oh yeah, that's a vasectomy. People get that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I remember what I was going to say. The only TV show that I can think of about that mentioned vasectomies at any point was American Dad, where Steve gets a vasectomy at some point and he gets it reversed in the same episode.
Yeah.
And it was things like that where it was something like that where I was like, oh, like, you know, people get vasectomies. People like decide they don't want to have kids anymore, but they can get it reversed. So it is interesting to hear about how that's actually not the case. And that's why I asked you, like, why is this like some sort of idea that comes up about how it can get reversed? Because clearly if doctors are pretensing people beforehand of like, this is not really reversible. I want to know where this idea came from. Like, oh, you can always just get it reversed.
I think
that's what I was taught.
I think it's because there's a chance. It's like almost like legal, like lawyers, like because there's like it's not completely reversible that you can deem it like reversible. You know, and I do think that women disregard that factor. And I'm just very curious to see how women would, you know, respond if an abortion meant not ever being able to have a kid post.
Right.
Because that would be a very interesting, like, you know, that would change history. You know, not that I want that to happen or anything, but it'd be very interesting how they would answer that and then ask them, so should a man get a vasectomy if they can risk not having a kid for the rest of their life? You know, or should both parties just agree? And yeah, it sucks that most contraception focuses on the woman doing things for herself. And what I was going to say here is that, and this is, I mean, I can get into depth with it, but these are the side effects of, you know, birth control pills. Nausea, breast tenderness or enlargement, headaches, spotting or breakthrough bleeding, missed periods or amenorrhea, weight gain, mood changes, decreased sex drive, vaginal discharge, contact lens use. Worst side effects are blood clots, which people can die from, high blood pressure, liver tumors, breast cancer risk, and cervical cancer risk. So, yes, for sure, those side effects way worse than the side effects of vasectomies. Way worse. And nobody's going to argue that. That's just ass.
Link is.
And but I will say, to kind of, I mean, I feel like, again, we both just kind of just explore the topic of it, and we don't really gotta make no sense because there's no stance to make. Do what the fuck you want with your own body, as long as you kind of just, you know, hear this out. And hobby censors my really crazy speaking. And last thing, did you know that how a sperm can work as an antidepressant for women?
Oh shit.
So I'll say this and we'll end this off like this. In a sample of sexually active college females, condom use as an indirect measure of the presence of semen in the reproductive tract was related to scores on the Beck Depression Inventory. Not only were females who were having sex without condoms less depressed, but depressive symptoms and suicide attempts among females who used condoms were proportional to the consistency of condom use. For females who did not use condoms, depression scores went up as the amount of time since their last sexual encounter increased. These data are consistent with the possibility that semen may antagonize depressive symptoms and evidence which shows that the vagina absorbs a number of components of semen that can be detected in the bloodstream within a few hours of administration.
No way.
Take that with a grain of salt. As you reflect on that, Javi, on that, and that was off, mind you, that was off PubMed Advanced. That was off an official website. .gov is the end of it. We'll put the article up. I want you to speak to the people freely while I take a piss and just tell them what you think.
That's just, it's wild. What? I'm about to just like go to every depressed girl and be like, I can cure it. No, but realistically, that's wild to fucking hear that. It's so strange because you hear the jokes about how like having sex without a condom is so much better with having sex with a condom. And I've never really heard it too much from women about how they feel about that stance. If you guys want to let us know what you guys think, but I think it's just very interesting. And to hear that you can literally get less depressed by just getting jizzed in, what the fuck? I'm about to take some jizz. I don't know. I'm about it. That. but I won't, because that's gonna stay in for you guys, for my ridiculousness, for my drunkenness. I think Frankie's coming back now. I think he's grabbing high noon, because it's, as Hanzo would say in Overwatch, it's high noon.
I've overthought it. Keep everything in, except the Ron DeSantis. You know what I'm trying to say, but keep everything in. That's just me being honest. And if it offends you for me saying that, like, I'm just being brutally honest, because with the whole gay voice thing, I just feel like I'm bringing more attention to it than it really should have. But I feel like, again, that stigma was put into my brain through a lot of past media, and I want to express it truly. And I even given that thought beforehand. I'm just a little drunk, so I'm nervous on how it will be perceived. But I think it's true. And I think a lot of people have that mindset. And by doing this and exploring this topic, I just want to remove that stigma and really bring truth to it. Because when we discussed it on our own, aside the podcast, I really learned a lot. And that really like blew my mind. And if we hadn't had that conversation, I would have lived who knows how long thinking that only.
Mm-hmm.
And at the very least, I have that in my head. And I think it's really important to know that stuff. So if you do think that and you do consider these guys' voices gay for the offensive reason, go fuck yourself. But I read it as that and explain myself here. And if you're not willing to accept that, just, you know, suck a schmeef.
Suck a link.
Suck a link. But yeah, man. Any final words? And are you less discouraged, more discouraged to get a vasectomy? I'm not getting one. I want to have kids.
It's just
an adoption, of course, is an option and all stuff. Look at me rhyming. Chocolate rain.
Chocolate rain. I personally, myself, I'm not too discouraged about the idea of vasectomy. I personally myself don't really want to have kids. And I won't lie in saying that hearing that it's not necessarily reversible does give me some pause. I will say that. But I don't know. It at least I'm not going to get one anytime soon.
Yeah.
Like, that's something that I will have to really think about. And I think that's something I would have to make a decision about with my partner.
Yeah.
Like, that's not something I'm going to make a full decision on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Lucas was asking me about this not too long ago of what I would do if say I got with someone that wanted to have kids, but I didn't want to have kids. And I said, well, realistically, I would ideally be with someone that had the same ideas as me. Yeah. But let's be real, that's not always the case.
And people change. I think the main thing I get is that people, like, what you want in your 20s may not be what you want in your 40s, you know, or even your 30s.
And so with that in mind, it's just kind of like, you know, I feel like that's just a conversation that needs to be had between partners. Yeah. I don't think that's something you as a man should just make solely on your own, because while, say, you might not want to have kids, the love of your life might want to have kids.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it is a decision you should make on your own. I think it should be you first and then your partner or your girl.
I don't know.
I think so.
I feel otherwise. I feel
So then how you feel about, I mean, I guess it's fair, but I guess it's different, because I feel like, and this is just me, like, when a woman wants to have an abortion, of course, your body, your choice. You're also, like, you know, getting rid of the kid that, you know, your, you know, counterpart, if it's done ethically and both of you just had, you know, unprotected sex, not like the rape situation, all that stuff. That's terrible. That should be 100% a woman's choice. And
that
you
is not.
That is not. That's just straight up the truth. But if it's you and a man, and you guys, you know, had unprotected sex, and you guys having a kid, and you're deciding, you know, in my opinion, at the very least, both of you should get a word in. You know, at the end of the day, the woman could do what she wants. But what if that guy doesn't want to, you know, have his baby, you know, murdered, basically? You know what I mean? And
I mean, but that's why. I mean, yeah. That's why.
But that's already with the baby being existing, you know, or at least the fetus and the whatever, where everything life starts. Fuck, I don't care about that. I'm just saying, you know, this is like a pretense to, like, I can avoid the situation completely on my terms.
No, yeah. I mean, I'll just say that even when it comes to, like, abortion, like, I was definitely a person that would go with the abortion versus not.
Yeah.
But that, you know, I wouldn't necessarily force that upon my partner.
So should a woman have to reach out to her partner for, you know, getting an IUD?
An IUD? I don't think so. I mean, well, I feel
so then should a man have to reach out?
Well, but it comes down to the fact that we talked about how reversible it is.
But so I feel like they should just be on their own. You know,
I don't know, because it's like if a vasectomy isn't reversible, I feel like that's a bigger conversation to have with your partner of like, listen, like if I do this, we might never have kids. And I feel like that's a very much important conversation to have with your partner versus something like an IUD, which like you can just stop and you can have kids if you want to.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like those are two very different cases where it's just, it comes down to the fact that one is reversible, the other is not.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is the big deciding factor there, that to me, at least, that says this is a conversation that needs to be had with both parties.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you're a bachelor and if you never think you're going to get married or anything like that, whatever, get a vasectomy.
Yeah.
But like, if you want to get married one day, like that's something you need to consider.
And try asking a bachelor whether they want to have kids and get married. You know what I mean? That's like so early to tell for the future. And then I will say this. It's just, who knows, man? Who knows? It just, the imprint of it being possibly irreversible is just such a strong factor where I think this is just one for the air. Like, you take it as you will, listener, whoever you are, just be informed. Be informed with any decision you make, whether you're a woman or man, whether you're getting a vasectomy, an abortion, IUD, birth control, condoms, fucking Gandhi, whatever you want to do. Just be careful, be considerate, and be factual about what you
and pull out.
Pull out, bro.
Come on.
That shit don't work. Actually, Joe Rogan has a funny joke about that with the pull-out method and stuff like that. It's one of the funny jokes that I think everybody laugh at. But so out of nowhere we got our guest Brian over here. Say what's up, Brian. He has the equity in the podcast, and basically we just covered vasectomies, right?
Okay.
And we just want to get your input before we move on to the next topic. And I just want to give you these three factors, right?
Mm-hmm.
So actually, let me ask you this: what do you know about a vasectomy? Like the ins and outs.
I think the bare minimum. I just know that when the doctors have to cut you open, right? And that's about it.
That's it. That's it. Okay, well that's fine, because I was saying we were talking about it the other day before the podcast, like weeks ago. We talked about it, and Javi put me onto a lot of shit. But before that, he didn't know a lot of these things. And today I asked a friend of mine, and to sum up short, my friend said that he felt that a vasectomy was that they cut you up and everything, but that you will stop creating sperm, and that not being able to create sperm would mean you're not a man anymore. Ultimately, a vasectomy just stops your sperm from reaching your penis.
Right.
Basically, your sperm from your nutsack to your penis. What is that called?
The Vaughn's difference.
That's the Vaughn's difference. The tube that leads your nutsack to your penis,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
So, do you know if you still jizz when you get a vasectomy?
I don't think so. No.
So it's a false like narrative, I think, and you do.
Oh, no,
you do still jizz,
But just blank.
so it's exactly. But instead of just like, poof, you don't just jizz dust, right?
Yeah.
You still jizz like cum, like white goo,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have sperm in it.
Right. It doesn't have the
The sperm.
membranes and
Sperm.
stuff like
So
that.
so you still ejaculate semen, which is your cum, but you don't have any sperm in it because the tube cuts off the nuts from the penis.
Right. Okay.
Now, a lot of talk has been whether or not you will get a vasectomy. Have you ever considered getting one?
I never really thought about it. No.
Oh wow.
What would convince you otherwise to get one?
I mean, I can't really think of it. I mean, like, I know, like, there's people, like, I was always cliche in the shows where it'd be like, oh, like, I remember My Wife and Kids.
Yes.
He had to because he, what was it? Like, she was like, yo, I'm like, I want another kid. And she was like, yeah. And he was like, get your tube side.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, it's more dangerous to get my tube side than it is to get a vasectomy.
Yes.
And he got it, and like he was just like, it's been a whole episode.
That's exactly the show that I was trying to think of earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm happy. And mind you, listeners, Brian just got here. So we just started having this conversation. And that's perfect you said that, because that's what I was saying.
Yeah, because My Wife and Kids also did it for a lot of them.
Like George Lopez and some shit like that, right?
Yeah, George Lopez. In the show, they talked about it. And also like, what was the other one?
I think I mentioned George. Do you remember what I mentioned? I know George
I
Lopez.
just remember My Wife and Kids and George Lopez.
I don't think I mentioned My Wife and Kids. I think you did, but I think I mentioned George
No,
Lopez.
you did.
I did? Oh,
Yeah.
well, thankfully.
Yeah, the George Lopez show. I remember talked about it. I remember. Home Improvement.
Home Improvement. There we go.
They had. Yeah, they talked about it. But yeah, it was always just cliche, or not cliche, but it's that episode. It just became a cliche episode.
Yeah. Like that's one of the things you covered.
Yeah.
As like a little like scheme.
Yeah.
Okay, 1 out of 10. How likely are you to get a vasectomy? Just cause.
Just cause. I mean.
No reason.
No reason. Like, I need a reason.
So 0, right? All right. Now, do you know whether or not vasectomies are reversible?
I heard they are because they store your the tube, right?
The vans, the friends, yeah. So
the cooler, and then you can just actually put it back.
Well, I don't know about the cooler, but I do know, and this is what we're gonna come to, and this is very interesting. Tell me not, because vasectomies can be reversible, but when they're done, they're deemed irreversible or a permanent decision to make for yourself. So, being this, you can get a vasectomy, but it's not always possible to reverse it.
Oh, okay.
So
there's a chance where it's irreversible.
There's a chance. There's a chance. And that's what we were talking about. And that's the reason I did this topic, not to advocate or not advocate for vasectomies, just to be like, would that being said, do you think that would defer you from getting a vasectomy? The fact that you may not be able to have a child for the rest of your life.
I mean, there's also things where I could always store sperm.
Ooh, that's true. That's a good ass point.
And then I could always just be like, hey, like, I want the vasectomy, but just because now I know that it could be irreversible, let me have like 7,000 kids in 2 days.
Yeah, because you may want to have kids. Yeah. And what we were getting at is that a lot of these, we had like experiences of men that spoke about getting vasectomies, but they were all in their 30s or 20s. And I just said that you can change your mindset when you're older at any time.
Yeah. Because even certain, I know there are quite a few stories of transgender people where they keep their
transgender people. Yeah,
where they keep especially men who are transitioning to women, because they still want to keep the penis.
Yeah. A lot of them. Yeah. A lot of transgender women keep their penis and stuff like
that. And just because you never know, like
But it's funny. There was a situation where a transgender woman was put in a woman's jail, right? Like basically because she identified as a woman, and all the women inmates started getting pregnant.
What the fuck?
Because the transgender woman wanted to be in a cell. Yeah, of course. And that's where everything gets hilarious. But I just wanted to mention that. So would you say, I mean, that's really smart. You say to store your sperm, and if you want to get a vasectomy.
Obviously, because now I know like there's a risk of it being irreversible.
Yeah.
But that would be my plan B. Then I'd be like, okay.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I just think we just talked about that now, and I thought it was very interesting. You made a lot of, I think having Brian comment on a post. What do you think about his comments just now?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting what he has to bring up. I just thought that like, I never considered the idea of like, like a sperm bank or something like that. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
So it's like, that is interesting to just kind of think about, of like, there are sort of roundabout ways, even if you get a vasectomy, to still have a kid.
A chance to like have that's perfect. That's fucking awesome that you said that shit, to be honest, because to me, like it looked.
Brian's like, yeah, duh.
Like, duh, that's why I'm here.
I come in, I just solve all your problems.
Facts. One Brugal shot in. But that's fucking awesome, because for me, when I read this, into the vasectomy story, I kind of came in and then I read everything and I was like, oh, this is disheartening. Like, and there's a lot of other videos that talk about hormone changes and this and that. I will say this is a random fact. But you know how men and women both have estrogen and testosterone? Mm-hmm. So men have testosterone and estrogen, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
For men, how can I say this? What do men have more of? Testosterone or estrogen?
Testosterone.
Right?
Yeah.
But they still have a ratio to estrogen, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Women have both as well, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But they have a higher level of testosterone to estrogen than we do testosterone to estrogen.
Right.
Really?
Their ratio is bigger. Yeah.
So like a woman has more testosterone in comparison to her estrogen than we have estrogen in comparration to our testosterone.
But I think
that's a random fact, but it's true.
I think
it's a little confusing.
Okay, what don't you understand?
So you're saying that women have as much testosterone as men?
No, the ratio.
I'll say this: if men have 5 testosterone and 2 estrogen, right? Women have 5 estrogen and 7 testosterone. So they have more testosterone than estrogen.
But they
they have more testosterone than, I can't explain it to you, but
I think it's the ratio. The ratio.
The ratio
is like let's say
their ratio is more separate than ours in terms of
I think higher.
Yeah,
Alright,
like women have more testosterone than they would in comparison to the estrogen than us in the same
So a
concern.
woman would have a lot of testosterone, but they would still have a lot of estrogen.
Sense. But
Yeah.
from what I learned from that was because of pain receptors.
Mm.
They can handle more pain than.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense though, because pregnancy and shit like that.
Birth, yeah, so they need
taking it up
the. And then so then like what else was it? Even when they're when they have the belly and stuff, they need the testosterone to like handle like.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Damn, bro, you know all that shit.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, duh.
Cue the music. That was and the reason I brought up the topic, I was telling Javi, just to literally give you the information, because I feel like most men, like when you ask them about vasectomies, they're like, oh yeah, they just kind of cut your shit or you shoot blanks. I thought shoot blanks myself, and all I wanted to do was just get the information to No, and I'll give it to you so you know too. But I feel like I just feel hopefully that any guy that listens to this is just like, oh, okay, like we're not trying to convince you to get a vasectomy. And then we were talking about like Roe versus Wade, how people were convinced to get it because maybe political reasons, maybe not. But you put in the input that kind of like rounded out the whole topic. I think so. Honestly, that was awesome. All right, so